Uh, Discord notifications are going to show up a little bit. I think that's probably okay because I'm too lazy to change it, even though it's not good. And I think that's just how
Just
we're
go
going
to
to
the.
start the
Oh shit! Never
podcast.
mind.
Hi guys, we're back at Untier Talk. Finally, it's been a while. We've got me, we've got Jad, we've got Specs as well here today again. Hey,
Hi guys.
and we're going to be talking all things PU Classic, since at this point, Classic is down to the final three, the semifinals, whatever. And that's kind of the last thing with PU Alpha coming up really soon. We'll hopefully move to a more regular recording schedule, but for now, Classic's been the big thing. There's just a lot of random stuff to hit. We're just gonna kind of go through it all, and I'm trying to record like my entire screen, which I don't normally do, and you guys can see a little bit of my mod powers, but aside from that, I think this should work okay. Okay, well, with that, Riolu got banned, so you know Black White's in a great state. Let's scroll up here. Yeah, that's the only thing to get banned in the middle of shit. So let's open up ORAS PU Cup, Black White PU Cup, and DBB Finals. Unless there's anything people want to talk about from like earlier than finals, I don't know.
Not really. I think
No,
No,
finals is fine.
like definitely. I wanted to mention like, oh yeah, Riolu got banned in the middle of the tournament just because yeah, that was a thing. But aside from that,
Yeah. To be honest, I wish we or like in other tiers as well, like in Black, White, and You and stuff, we took more of a fuck it approach and just said this is for the benefit of the tier rather than a thing that we have to do like formally because it's like that it's just so stupid. Really, is a really stupid thing. It's like it doesn't really benefit the tier in any way, so it's like whatever, just ban it, get rid of it.
yeah, and it's not that Black White doesn't have other problems, but that definitely helps.
Yeah, I mean it's just stupid. It just adds another element of just do you want matchup? Well, here's something that can fuck with.
Hmm. Anyway, I've opened up these here Oras Cup finals games because that was the first cup to finish. It ended up coming down to TJ versus Chris Loud. And I guess I should have opened up semis and stuff just to look at top four or whatever, but it doesn't really matter. Um, I remember this just being kind of a really standard, basic, vanilla set. Like things just kind of yeah, that happened. Like I didn't
Yeah,
really have very many thoughts on anything going on.
yeah. Here's the thing with like really small tournaments is that like the finals don't feel as like crazy where it's like um, you know something can happen. It feels like the favorite in small tournament finals usually wins. I think that's what happened in this one as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I don't know that TJ was like a big favorite or anything. It just felt like when he won, he did like yeah, he did solid fine things, but nothing in the games was like there was no big new tech or major difference. I don't know. Like in past classics, I feel like the metas have been maybe still a little bit on the developing side and whatever. And in this classic, this was
Mm-hmm.
pretty much just like regular old or ass things happening. You know?
Yeah,
It doesn't.
yeah, especially go on Specs.
Oh, I was just gonna say it doesn't help that he used. I think 2 out of the 3 games he used teams that I used in PUPL.
These
So,
these are all like definitely old teams. I don't really think anyone was
yeah,
building, and none of them are super crazy. Like the Gorgai Small here is probably the weirdest thing that we actually saw come out. Even if to people who only played SM, it's like, what? There's a Chatot and a Volaby and a Polytoad? Wow, that's so weird. No, this is just like regular looking Oras. You know?
yeah. To you and me and the people who played, I would love to see like what people thought of the ORAS tour who haven't like delved into it when they came in
Yeah,
last summer.
but that's always necessarily like the main outlook
Yeah,
that we're not good at representing on Untier Talk because we're too familiar with this stuff.
Yeah, I'd say the thing I think we can take away from the matchup or the teams per se is that neither player thought that they were the underdog. Usually, if you have a distinct underdog versus I guess you could say overdog mentality, right? You see the underdog try something different, right? Where it's like, okay, I'm not going to beat this guy on an even playing field, so I'm going to bring something crazy like Trick Room or Rain, you know what I mean? So it's clear to think that, or it's clear to me that both people either couldn't be bothered to build, or probably more likely that they both thought that they could get away with bringing standard stuff and then outskilling their way in the match. Which is probably what I'd wager on.
I do agree with that. This is very much like regular old up their alleys type stuff, which is totally cool. The most interesting one though was when TJ just straight up reused his team from game 1 that lost.
He really likes that team.
That's always a really interesting choice. And it definitely could have gone bad for him.
Well, the late game was really weird in game 3. Like, I think both of them kind of didn't really know what they wanted to do. And I think they both just kind of fucked up, but TJ got the better end of the stick.
Yeah, well, there was like a really the big thing I think was Chris's long-term Mr. Mime resists like very obviously did not work. And then TJ subs up on a Rock Blast Golem and dodges the Rock Blast. And those two things combined were like, problematic, you know? I'm not actually 100%. I had thought the Rock Blast was like really defining, but I don't actually recall. Like, I'm looking at this now. If the Golem hit Rock Blast here, would he still have been able to win?
Ooh, TJ.
Would Chris have been able to win if Golem hit Rock Blast? I think you get a Mr. Mime speed tie in that case, right?
Potentially. I think you get a speed tie with the Mime.
Yeah, so it still wasn't completely over.
But... Yeah, but that definitely was like, oh, that was silly.
Yeah, I almost jumped out of my chair when that happened because I thought that it would come down to the Mime stuff, and then it just gets dicey.
And yeah, I suppose that was Oras. Black White then?
Sure, I'm horrible at Black White. But...
Don't worry, I got this because I won Black White. How?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Shit. Oh,
I genuinely have no. Okay, Oras is a meta like I generally get and understand, and like I watched most of the Oras games. I'm like, that's cool. Black White is a meta I do not follow as much, or like usually care about that much at all. And I basically just went in with like the same old recycled teams that I've been using over and over. And then I also got Hajed to pass me a new team that I used like once or twice. But for the most part, I really was just using like the same exact stuff and trying to just outplay my opponents as hard as possible, kind of regardless of what I faced, which could have gone bad in a lot of ways. Like, there were multiple times in this tournament where I had nothing for their Vigoroth other than them fucking up or me critting them. And also multiple times when I should have 100% lost a game, but then my opponent let me nasty plot 2 to 3 times and then baton pass, and then I still won, even though they could have just stopped me from nasty passing. It was a really silly run. I got nothing.
I'd say the key thing with Black White is that a lot of people, they put a lot of emphasis on making new teams. And
oh, Hajad, wait, before you start, real quick, this Bayonet is Frisk and not Insomnia. I was like, why is it not Insomnia? Because this is the team
honestly,
you gave me.
I didn't know it got. I never thought that you'd need Insomnia, but then you think about it again, it's like
this tier's got
Black White Sleep.
This tier has Jump Fluff. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
The Jump Fluff matchup isn't very good either.
Well, I mean, once something gets slipped out of a while. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can do your talk about Black White, but this was like literally the start of the game. I just kind of assumed, oh yeah, Insomnia Bayonet. I wasn't even thinking about it.
Okay, yeah, well, that's a mistake on my part, but yeah, I think the thing with Black White is that a lot of people make a big deal about making new teams, and I feel like in Black White, this is one of the tiers where you can get punished really badly for building something new and cool, and then you'll just get smoked by standard. And I feel like this is the gen really where standard stuff prevails more often than bringing a gimmick. That's not to say gimmicks aren't viable or like new things, but you better be sure that that gimmick has like a decent matchup, because otherwise it's a long road to winning games.
Yeah, and for those of you who aren't familiar with the meta, this is like a pretty standard, average-looking team from both of us. Really, the critical thing here being that like he has just very little for my BEM, which is what makes it non-standard. Like all his mons are standard, but altogether he is like shockingly little for BEM, and that's the thing that makes his team weird. It kind of just does its thing. Even though early on I thought it was going to be really heavily pressured by that Vile Plume because it like dodged the crunch from my Zweilous. Yeah, when I went BEM, I basically just hit buttons and won the game, and that was that. So
yeah, I'd say that's not necessarily a knock on tech either, because usually when you say, "Oh, this guy's team was weak to BEM," that's not a very good thing. It's like, well, yeah, it's not a good thing, but there's not really much you can use in the first place.
Yeah, there's not a lot, but like you have to have it. I mean, yeah, being weak to BEM is like everything is weak to BEM to some extent. This is really, really weak. Like he was pressuring it with Scarf Monferno. It just that did not work out for him at all.
Yeah, I'd say especially how that team is built, the team that using that like it's hazards and then BEM pressuring, and then you have like just sort of 6 things which just put a lot of pressure on what BEM doesn't like.
Yeah, I never got a chance to spike, but spikes plus BEM are absolutely ridiculous. That's what this team is for, and the only reason that didn't happen is because I just didn't even need the spikes. But like, yeah, spikes are stupid. Thank you for the team, Ajad.
No worries, bro. Anytime.
This game 2 team. Oh man. Okay, so this is a very old sample team from before we had like the Rotom Frost ban and the other Black White ban. It was Rotom Frost and something else, and before like the tier shifts in Black and White when we updated to like the end of Black and White NU. This is before all of that, when Quite Quiet still played Black White PU, and this is his sample team with minor adjustments. Like I put Storm Throw on Throw because Vigoroth is just so good. This is that, and for whatever reason, even though it's ridiculously fucking old, it is my favorite team in Black White and like the most reliable thing I have. It's really, really fun to play with. It has some weaknesses, absolutely. And the Stunfisk slot is probably subpar and should be replaced with like anything else. But it's really fun, and I've used it in like every series I've played. That's just the story of this team. So I want to give a shout out to when Quite Quiet played Black White PU.
Yeah, shout out QQ. The team looks really standard for this meta too. I don't know, it still holds up, it seems.
Yeah, I love this team. Spec Simipour, incredibly strong. You saw it could have 2-KO'd the Fracture, but I didn't want to miss Hydro Pump and get fucked, so instead I switched out, and then kind of started to get fucked because I switched out. But he hit himself in confusion, so it's okay. And we take that because, like, the end of this game basically turns into 100% free for me, except I get locked. And, like, oh, well, that happens sometimes. But, like, I 100% should have won this game. And yeah.
Yeah, I would say one of the key things I realized about you is that it's like, you don't have like standard speed control, which you'd think is like a really important thing in Black White, given that there's so much hazards pressure, there's so many things that you can use speed control for in this tier. But I don't think your team really needs it. It's like you've already got like a few fast breakers Untier has.
I've got
Well,
I've got Simipour, which like doesn't do Scarvers and Revenge Sweepers, but is really fast for the tier. But then I have very fat things. Oh, and Jump Luff's even faster. What am I saying? But like BKM, Stunfisk, Mawile, Throw, they're all extremely fat, and that's kind of what the team falls back on.
exactly.
Unfortunately,
I'd say
uh,
anything at the tier. Yeah, anything.
his BHM in the back is still really scary because BHM is scary for every team. So I kind of had to make him Leaf Storm and then go BHM and set up a Calm Mind here. And then once I start with a Calm Mind, like I should win this game unless his BHM is something crazy that's going to beat my BHM that starts out at +1. That's where like this crit just basically like changed the thing because at -2 that Dark Pulse does nothing.
Yeah, I'd say that the key thing is that your team also each one can tank a hit from any one thing and then trade with it. So any noticeable threats in the tier you can sack them on and then not use any real impetus.
Yeah.
So
most things are good at trading. Band Throw and Specs Simipour are just so strong that like one of them is going to be a great wall breaker in pretty much any matchup. Is just going to happen. Yeah, I really like this team. It's probably somewhere on the forums. And if not, I should probably link to it once Classic's done. Actually, I don't think I'll pull it out in finals, so I could just link to it at some point. But yeah, I really like this team. That was basically the story of that. And yeah, we end up going to game 3 because of that crit, which is like, well, that's a little silly. And game 3 is terrible. I like these other two. I like game 1 and game 2 for being like mostly fine outside of that. But game 3 is just really awful and silly. And this is one of the games I'm talking about where I should 100% lose this game. In no small part because he gets a turn 2 crit right here. Rampardos absolutely demolishes this team. In fact, most things demolish my team. My team right here, let me switch. My team right here is this Nasty Pass team that I just reuse a lot. It was a lot better when it had a Combuskin over Victory Bell because Nasty Pass to Combuskin was super broken, but then Combuskin got banned because Combuskin was super broken. And I slapped shit on, and like this is the only thing I had for game 3, so I went, okay, whatever. It's bad. It has a lot of weaknesses. Rampardos is one of them because it mold breakers right through Bronzor, and that's my only like good edgequake check. So I basically needed Bronzor to break his sash right here. And then he crits me and I don't, and he gets another free kill off of that. And already, like, I should 100% lose this game. And the only chance that I have is Nasty Passing. Which should never happen because also this circle throw is, like, literally just phases my whole team and wins. Like, I can't do anything to this throw whatsoever, realistically. And then I'm just going to let this play because, like, I just end up winning due to a combination of, like, the weird luck and just big misplays. Yeah, I dodged circle throw right here when I thought I'd lost because I forgot circle throw wasn't 100% accurate. And then I managed to 3-hit KO him as he does not pull a circle throw. It was very stupid. And I still should have lost, but then he lets me Nasty Pass, and I won. That's basically the moral of the story. He just spikes 3 times as I Nasty Pass to Golduck and win. Even though Vigoroth 100% won the game there, I couldn't kill it. Good game.
Fuck. Yeah, well, yeah, you put it like that, and it's the game. It wasn't the best showing on Black White. Let's be honest, but it's. I think in Black White in particular, you get really hardly punished for making a misplay. Like in Oras or in SM especially, like if you make a misplay, you can sort of make up for it with more aggressive plays. But if you make a misplay in Black White, you instantly lose. There's no mistake about it.
Yeah, Black White is ruthless. Probably part of the reason I don't play
probably
it.
The reason, probably part of the reason why I like playing up as well. But.
Yeah, I like Black White. I don't know that it's absolutely that unforgiving in every matchup, but it totally can be. Yeah, I'm like, this is not a game I should have won, like, because of that, you know?
Yeah, it's something that I realized, especially yesterday when I was playing in Black White NU Open, which isn't, like, it's roughly analogous to Black White PU, the way that it plays, but in Black White NU, it was like, my opponent got loads of key turns of hacks, and it was like, because he sort of messed around with his win cons and didn't really save something for the late game. Just ended up losing despite being in a ridiculous position. So yeah, it can be really harsh when you should win, especially when you should win. That if somebody just formulates a plan better than you do, it's really brutal.
Yep, I agree with that. But honestly, that's even more how I feel about DPP. DPP, just an odd tier in my opinion. Like,
I love it.
For whatever reason, I love ADV, and it makes a lot of sense to me when you have no team preview. But in DPP, it really just feels like you'll just get swatted by random things. That's kind of my outlook on this.
Yeah, I'd say DPP is a really weird tier. When I was helping Haste Up and then later Durs prepare for that during PUPL, it was more like if your team was overly passive, you'd get smoked, and if your team was overly offensive, you'd get smoked. So it was like finding a mid-ground where you can take on majority of matchups and be effective at what you're doing is actually quite tough to find, and I feel like there's almost like a beauty in finding that perfect balance.
And I respect anyone who can figure it out, don't get me wrong. I don't like the tier, but like, props to you if DPP is your thing, and I do think it's cool. It's just clearly not for me, and the one gen of PU that I'm like, I love most PU, this is not it.
Respect. I'm pretty sure you can attest to this, but isn't predicting or making a prediction in a no matchup metagame so much more satisfying as well?
Oh,
no
man.
preview
when
metagame.
When you focus blast like with Electabuzz on something, it drops. Like, yeah, I really like. I like that.
Blind predictions are the best.
Yeah. It can be really hard, and like I've made, like in my playoffs games in circuit, I actually kind of had those predictions even on things not revealed. But then I'll go play, like I played for DPP and U Cup, and I just didn't fucking have it at all. Like, I don't know. It can feel very hard to stay consistent at it, which is another reason that I have big respect for that. And Drud has been really consistent at DP for a while, and he's the one who ended up taking this. The other person is Egelvank. He has some old gens ribbon. OU circuit. Oh yeah, he won the OU circuit. Isn't that the one where he like completely hacks the shit out of ABR? I'm pretty sure that happened.
I think it was versus APR. I forget what happened though.
It was something really stupid. Anyway, he says he got hard C-teamed twice and lost.
Yeah, he did.
This is true, and that's pretty much what these games are. On the other hand, he's only used the same team. So when he got hard C-teamed and lost, it was him reusing the same team he's used like over and over and over in all the previous rounds. So not gonna really give a shit about that now, are we? Yeah, I actually did lose to him because I don't have DPP teams. It's not a meta I play. And even though I knew what he had, I didn't have anything to bring versus him. So he beat me earlier in the cup.
I do want to get it out that it's not hard to C-team his team, considering Protect is a very good move in DPP already because of Perugly. Mm-hmm. So Protect spam is already very viable. Drud honestly brought really good teams that he just threw Protect on some other mons, and he said, fuck it, I'm good.
Yeah,
That's kind of what happened.
And Egelvank just has like a weirdly gimmicky thing. It's got a band slacking and Specs Gorobus, and then some fat things, and then like a Regigigas that kind of wants to set up in the back. And Drud was not weak to band slacking plus Specs Gorobus, so he like the wall breaking just wasn't there. Like Polytoad is real big for that. Obviously, like just to be able to beat Specs Gorobus like that. Regigigas and slacking not huge threats. Like this just, even with Zangoose getting crit, which like if it didn't, that pretty much would have just ended the game. This game one was just pretty free because of that, and I think game two goes approximately the same way.
Yeah, he also had very little ways to kill Matang. He was no ground move.
Yeah, the first half of the game was just facing Matang.
Yep.
And then I think, game two is like the same thing, but a different lead. And even then, really early, he gets a Fire Punch burn on the Metang. Like, that's huge. And then you see the rest of the game, like, oh, that wasn't it. It wasn't good. And, like, when you have the same thing over and over, and you go, I got hard CT'd, I'm just like, what? Like, yeah,
there's no real room to complain.
sub SD Rhydon is not a thing I've ever seen in DPP. I don't think it's that common, right?
No, it's not a set.
Yeah. But, like, if you're always using the same Regigigas slacking muck Probopass team, and someone brings a sub Rhydon, that's kind of on you. Like, oh my god.
Well, especially in finals. Like, sure, if you get, like, completely C-teamed in, like, round 2 or something.
Yeah, there's the Protect Machoke, too, but, like, that's a real thing because of Perugly. Or at least, like, Tone gave me a team with Protect Machoke, so...
Yeah, that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, also Specs, I wasn't really paying too much attention, but how similar was Eagle Bank's teams? Were they, like, the same team brought in the same order?
It's the same team in a different order. It's normally the Gorbis leads. He changed Slacking lead.
Okay, right.
Which doesn't really change how the team like functions.
No, it's just a different nuke to start the game out with. And Slacking's worse.
Also,
Slacking's worse as a lead too, because if someone goes with like a Sash lead, then what's Slacking gonna do? Or Perugly just fakes out.
Which is the best lead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was also talking about the game 1 to game. I'm assuming this is finished in 2, right? So
yeah.
Game 1.
Well, you can see the screen, Hajad. Hajad, you have screen share.
Yeah,
You've been seeing what I'm showing, right?
Yeah, I know. But I'm talking about like in general.
Just making sure.
Did he bring the teams in? Because I'm talking about previous rounds and I don't have that in front of me. So.
Previous rounds? I know versus me, Eagle Bank only used these teams, and I'm pretty sure versus everyone he only used these teams.
Yeah, everybody that. I don't know if it's the same order. I'd imagine he wouldn't, just because of how much he obviously doesn't care about the tour. So I'm sure for finals he wanted to, but I actually have no idea.
Versus me, he only led Gorbis. He didn't even mix it up at all. If I recall correctly, maybe he did. I don't know. But yeah, part of that is also he didn't really care about the tour, and I'm gonna make fun of him going, "Oh, I got hard CT'd," but otherwise, whatever. I've been bringing most of the same teams in black-white. It's not like I'm if you're reusing the same thing, fine. But yeah, that hits the cups. Won by TJ, myself, and Drud. And then we ran into playoffs, which are right here. Yeah, so playoffs were top 8 seeded with being best of 3s of each gen. We had a very fun all the top seeds won. That's always interesting. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So the first set that happened was I know John versus Eagle Bank super, super hard. We played immediately. Black-white was kind of just an absolute wash. Again, his team just kind of is really, really bad versus BHM. So that happened. He did bring a Banded Pursuit Zebstrika, though. That was really interesting. He had some stuff, but yeah, overall this game was kind of just a big drop. I'm just going to even skip through this even faster. You don't need a lot of coherence.
I think you flinched through the
throw. Yeah, okay, I double flinched the throw, but at this point it doesn't matter. The Zebstrika is dead to rocks. He only has these 2 things, and they both lose to Simicore.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd say, this is an example of what I was talking about earlier, where it was if you want to meme or bring something off standard in black-white, you better make sure it works, because this is what's going to happen to you.
Yeah, this was just a free game. Although the random rock polish kind of scared me, but fortunately I'd saved my stun fist because Zebstrika never got to pressure it. And then game 2, this was the thing people kept memeing about because it was oh my god, I got hacked. Basically the thing this game was, first of all, can I point out, since I never played DVP, I was so fucking happy with myself when it was a Perugly versus Monferno lead and I just hard U-turn instead of faking out. It's the smallest thing that's not a great play, but I was popping off in my chair.
You see, DPP makes you feel some type of way.
Yeah, it feels really good, even though this is something I see people doing all the time. It was more of a rush than a lot of predictions you get in 6v6.
Yeah, it's the blind predicts. The blind predicts always work.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, this was a really hard game. He's got a rest talk toxic Mantine, which I just have like very little to pressure with because I was prepared for the team that he had kept bringing over and over. And this is a game I just 100% like should have lost. He has a good matchup and he was playing well, and that's kind of how it'd be. And then at some point I will get a crit that makes me lose less fast, but I still 100% lose. And then he manages to completely choke the game away. Like, just absolutely fuck up. Yeah, right here, I crit Oko's Mischievous, so it can't live and get Salic Berry, and then, like, that would have just messed me up. But I still should have 100% lost, and he had to choke the game away anyway, because, yeah, so I don't really care. And there was a whole drama, because he'll post, like, oh my god, I got hacked, and it doesn't matter. I'm recapping it because you're going to see it in the thread anyway. But yeah, that's basically what happened here. This is 100% his game. I cannot beat it, this Electabuzz, and yeah, this team is built around this Spec Scorobus that's just totally walled by Mantine, so yeah, I got nothing.
Was it Specs? I thought it was...
Oh no, I'm sorry, it was a Rain Dance Sweeper Gorbis. Yeah. Rain Dance Sweeper, yeah. Like, critically here, he sacks Metang for no reason. It is asleep, but it doesn't need to be awake to beat my Toxic Perugly. And at this point, like, I just outplay him.
Yeah.
But in a way that, like, I shouldn't have even been able to. He had to mess up to, like, get here.
Yeah.
And then eventually
I do want to apologize for giving you that team, because it was weak to Rest Talk Mantine.
Yeah.
But it would have easily beaten Subtoxic, which is the way more close.
Yeah, but, like, Rest Talk Mantine, Fat Polytoad even, like, those kinds of things, very hard to pressure, given that I have to do it with Tangela and the Life Orb Electabuzz, which are both, like, really weird mons to use.
Yeah.
Like, it was very much, I'm ready for your Regigigas team, and it wasn't that, and then I lucked out. But also, he fucked up, so whatever. And that was the set. Not a very good anything. Yeah, there were other sets as well that we can get. TJ versus Tack, this kind of just happened. Like, this was mostly TJ just outbuttoning Tack, really.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot from this ORAS game.
Yeah, I didn't, and then I looked at the preview, I'm like, oh yeah, TJ just kind of, like, hit buttons and won. That's what I mean by outbuttoning. Yeah, he had the Life Orb all out attacking Simipour as well, which Tack, like, clearly was not ready for, and it broke his entire team once Rocks went up to hit the Kuno, and Tack just let Rocks get up, and his Vibrava die, and as soon as that happened, like, that's such a bad fuck up. Also, this Boufflant, SD Bouffant really messed up Tack's team regardless. Yeah, this was just a silly.
Yeah, Duocean would have won that end game too.
Mm-hmm. And then this Black-White, when Tack has this funny Ghastly that immediately gets OHKO'd by a Scarf Gabite that I'm sure he just wasn't expecting.
Pretty good pressing.
Yeah, like Ajed said, he tried to do something non-standard, and TJ just has this, like, fat NFE team with a Calm Mind Gotharita that just ends up winning.
Yeah, Gothit's broken as well. Like, anything with, like, Arena Trap is so good in Black-White, more so than other tiers, because you're just imposing your will. As soon as you impose your will, it's so, like, you can play off of that so well that it's, yeah, there's not really much you have to really, like, hurry your game plan is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Yeah. Like, late game, Tack was just kind of going to get messed up, because eventually he had to use Shelgon. And as soon as that came out, Goth gets to trap it, although TJ goes Vigoroth first, not expecting it to be toxic. But yeah, then after that, Goth just wins.
H-Shed, is Shelgon a thing? I've never seen this before.
No, not really. The thing with Shelgon is that it's really fat and it can tank a lot of hits. But so can many things in Black-White. And the reason why those things, you don't see them get used, because they're passive. So if I had, like, let's say 6 breakers on a team, right? It's basically 3 breaks on everything. Like,
or spikes. Spikes is the other big thing.
Or spikes. That's the other big thing, exactly. Yeah. So like if you imagine versus or Megazord's team, the first team we used.
Yeah, with
Maractus.
Maractus
3 times, and that's it. Like game's over.
Yeah, I will say about Shelgon, almost nothing can wish pass, and like we don't have Audino. Togetic is weak to rocks, so that's something. But wish passing again, like very passive and not great. Stall does happen. Oh no, I'm sorry, we do have Audino. Then no, Audino is in Black White PU. Then why? Then I guess Shelgon's the only Fizz-Def wish passer, so I guess that's what it do. I don't know. Anyway, we had Drud versus LST. That was matchup number 3, and this LST said afterwards like he put a lot on Victory Bell missing Sleep Powder on Golbat. This is one of those things where I agree that LST like lost so much of his ability to pressure because he missed the Sleep Powder. On the other hand, if your whole game plan and like your only ability to win relies on getting that sleep like turn 3, and if Drud had done anything else, or like the 25% of the time he dodges, you lose. That's not great. But yeah, it is true that sucked. But also that Whiscash getting totally walled by Blossom, that sucks. The fact that he could not switch into Relicanth at all, that sucks too. Like this just seemed like a very hard matchup from the start, and I'm not sure how much that really mattered.
Yeah, it was complete HO. I gave him this team. I think the sleep would have helped him in his win path, just because it lost him basically all the momentum moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know what else to say. Yeah.
For sure. And then Oras was just a little bit of LST kind of just gets consistently outplayed here. Like the Stoutland, I remember, kept superpowering and frustrating incorrectly. And that
was cool though.
Yeah, the Apricot Berry is funny. It's for Natural Gift. But yeah, like he also Focus Blasts into the Mime trying to catch the Poniard. He frustrations into the Golem a few times before that. For the most part, like this was just Drud playing a pretty solid game. Nothing too notable that I really wanted to like pivot on any turns and be like, oh, look at this. But yeah, Drud kind of just gets a lot of things very right to give him like a more convincing victory than he necessarily could have had, or even like getting him the win. So yeah, that was pretty much what this game turned out to be. And then Chris Ziri, which is by far the set I remember least about, even though it happened most recently, because like at the point that this happened, I was just very over the week. Because they had to play like real late, kept saying like, oh, it's not going to happen, whatever. I remember this turn where Metang lives a camera lava plume. I remember that one for being really funny.
Yeah, this endgame was misplayed by Ziri a lot, just mathematically. He had a better shot dittoing the Perugly matchup. He had a 50-50 shot with that rather than a 43% roll, I think he had to live.
Huh. I don't remember that. We're going to be there pretty soon, given how fast.
Yeah. It was Perugly versus Pinsir.
Yeah. So a very much like back and forth offense game, the type you normally see. The Scarf Pinsir coming out right there. Yeah. DD Whiscash, people really should start running Protect on it, because I've never seen Protect, and it feels like that would literally always work.
Yeah, Protect's a set. He was just Lum.
Okay. So much. So you're saying right there when he went for the sucker speed?
Okay, yeah, because he forced himself to take another round of rocks here. He shouldn't have sacked the Perugly. Sacking the Perugly made Pinsir was forced to come in, take a round of rocks, and then it would take another round of rocks after pivoting out again. And this Sucker Punch roll
is a 43% roll for Ziri to live.
Like that.
For Ziri to live.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and instead, if he hadn't done that and had tried to like go for a speed tie with Peruglis, then he might have had a better chance.
Yeah, because
Yeah, so like right here, you sack Whiscash instead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Whiscash was horrible in this late game because he was always forcing the Rhydon in with Pinsir.
You sack Whiscash, you go Pinsir, you do the same thing where it kills Rhydon. You let Perugly kill you with Fake Out Sucker. And then you go to your own Perugly and try to win a speed tie. On the Sucker Punch after you Fake Out. Okay, yeah, that would have just been strictly better, it looks like. So, that's a bit of a
I don't blame him too much, though, because obviously it's a lot easier when you're not playing.
Jad's like, oh my god, there's so much DPP. Just stop choosing this meta.
Yeah, sorry for taking over there.
No, that's good. Like, I mean, part of why you're here is because we can't do good DPP analysis. So.
No worries.
Yeah, to be honest with DPP, it's a meta where I've played precisely 0 DPP games, but I still kind of get it. It's one of those metas which is quite intuitive.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It takes a lot of similar skill sets from other gens, I would say.
Yeah. Game 2 was really interesting. I actually thought Chris played this one pretty well for having what looked like a really annoying matchup with the T-spikes and the rocks and the inability to get that off. You can see how long and how annoying it's been.
Yeah, Mime late game was just really good though.
Yeah, critically,
as soon as Ursaring took damage.
Yeah, critically, Ziri messed up in that he needed to use Ursaring to weaken Pelipper, but once he did that, he lost to Mime late game, and he needed to preserve those. And what he needed to do was find another way to beat Pelipper, which probably would have been by preserving Roselia, because instead he let Roselia take a Blizzard from Rotom Frost. And Roselia lived and killed the Rotom Frost, but that ended up being bad late game. And this is one of those games where I feel like you play for right now, you play for this turn. I really like trading Roselia from Rotom Frost, but it doesn't work out late game. Whereas it might have been better to even sack Gabite, which was doing nothing. Maybe not. But find another way, because late game, you're just going to get screwed there.
Yeah, you're taking damage with Ursaring anyways because it's such a good breaker versus Chris, but you're taking a lot less than if you're. I think he tanked a hit from Pelipper, and that put him. It was a roll for Psychic, but it put him basically in range. I just think he probably should have sacked Gabite and then gone for that game.
Did you add anything?
Not really.
No, you're tired? I'm tired too. There's one last set to talk about. So semis happened. I know John TJ and played him as soon as I got back when the round was posted anyway. So I do not wait on Classic. This is the last thing we have to go over, and then obviously Alpha will come out, but we'll probably put a little bit of time into looking at the final semi set and finals. Drud versus Chris Loud, winner of that versus me. Overall, pretty interesting set, I think. Game 1, I decided to hard stall TJ because I figured that would work, but then I looked in my team builder, and the only stall I had was the Lapras one that I used to counter team Dundee's. I don't know if you remember that, but Dundee's stall was this thing that everyone hated, and I was like, Perish Trap Lapras beats that, so I'll build a stall around Perish Trap Lapras, and that was the only thing I had. It's mostly okay, but it's really, really weak to Nasty Plot Ninetales. And I don't have a good way of stopping him from getting spikes early. And that really could have come out to be very bad. And I think the only reason I end up winning this game is because he messes up with Ninetales. Immediately going Ninetales is fine. And he even gets a really big crit here to just immediately slap at my muck. But then he Nasty Plots again. I don't have a good reason for this. I don't know why he did it. I don't know what it was supposed to get him. And although... And, he should have just killed my muck. And I wouldn't have immediately lost. I could still check Ninetales. But late game, he'd still keep it around, and it would still be a threat, and I think I would just lose. Because Ninetales is just really good versus this team. And that extra Nasty Plot... was bad. And I also get the poison jab poison, but even if I hadn't, at that amount of health, I can just go Lapras and actually just be able to kill it. Which is very, very important. And from there, he just literally can't break my stall.
Yeah, he could have even like saved the Ninetales, got up hazards, and it would have been like even bigger of a threat. I don't like the.
Yeah, I don't know, Bob. I really had no idea why, and I never actually asked him, because by the time we got to game 3, like it was just kind of out of my mind. But excuse me a moment.
Hey, so I'm Harry. I'm the volunteer.
Yeah.
Are you planning on voting in the election?
Yeah, I'm already registered.
Oh, cool. Are you voting here? Yes. Do you know who you're voting for? Yes. Who? Right. Oh, great.
Nice bags.
One of our scientists. Put on your door.
Sure.
Great. Thanks.
How you doing, bro? Yeah. I like ass.
Could you guys hear what that was?
No.
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 We didn't hear nothing.
I just got asked if I was gonna vote for Bernie. Like someone just knocked on my door, like trying to get me to vote for Bernie. I don't even want to cut that out because what? I'm not used to that.
Oh wait, I said I liked ass.
Oh, no, we're definitely leaving it in then.
Okay, sweet, no problem. I don't mind people knowing that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean the end of the game was a big nothing. I'm just so like I'm just not used to actually like people wanting my vote. Because
Why would they be targeting people like you? Because you're probably going to be voting for whatever the Democrat is, aren't you?
Why? Because I'm out of college, or because I'm young, or?
Yeah, because you're a college student. So. Yeah,
but like I don't know, people still organize and stuff at colleges.
Interesting. Okay.
Like it's assumed that I'm going to vote Democrat, but it's still the primary, and college students still vary a lot across which Democrats during the primary, even though they generally go for the Democrat during the general election. That's the difference.
Is that a common thing there? Because that doesn't happen a lot in Canada. People coming up to you and asking.
Not coming up to me, like knocking on doors and stuff. You go up to
yeah, that's what I mean.
Knocking on doors. Yeah, I mean that's a thing. Like you canvass, you go out and you be like, you send people to just try to talk to people. Like right before the primary in New Hampshire or whatever, you just get a bunch of people like going around knocking on doors, being like, "Hey."
Yeah, usually at university though, we get a ton of people who are like, for like the Tory party, because university students aren't really like a huge vote for the Conservatives over here.
Mm-hmm.
So you get loads of people who are like representatives from the Conservative Party. They just go onto the university campuses and start to spout shit. So politics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. Like they just want to get people to vote. Canadian elections, I think, are different though, just because they're so much shorter. Is like that changes so many of the dynamics.
Yeah, you cut out a bit, but yeah, I think.
Anyway, game 2. I'm definitely leaving that in. I love this aside. I love that. I genuinely do. Like when I listen to podcasts, I like ones that do things like that. And maybe people hate it, and maybe I'm just like, well, I am just putting my personal preferences on the thing, but like that's what you do as a creator. So anyway, he leads with a taunt per ugly. I'd literally never seen taunt per ugly before, and if I knew that was a thing, I would have just hit it. So that upset me a little bit. Other than that, this was a bit of a really annoying game because you'll see I keep predicting his Metang and going hard to my Metang because my team's actually kind of like weak to Metang and I need to check his with mine. And mine is meant to check other Metang, and that's like a really important dimension, and I need his Metang out of the way. It is a threat. Like, here's the second time I've doubled into my Metang on his Metang, and he lets me Earthquake it. I'm like, yes, I finally got a weakened, and I still have my Perugly check. This is great. And then he crit Okos me, and that basically decides the game. A game that I honestly think I would have won without that, but like obviously it's too early to really know for sure. I just like fuck, that's annoying. That is like the only really important thing in this game, in my opinion. Yeah, I doubled to my Metang to beat his multiple times, and then it just got crit, and then it's like,
Sucks to suck.
yeah. You'll even see. So you'll even see I've got a little bit of a tech here. I've got this Armaldo. Oop, I just hit reset instead of pause. That's cool. I've got this rock polished natural gift grass Armaldo, which is meant to beat things like Whiscash and what's the other ground? Gastrodon, the one that I have. And he actually ended up having a Whiscash in the back that I get to do the thing to. But unfortunately, it's kind of too late. I also messed up by switching Armaldo hard into his Prugli's Frustration, but it wouldn't have even mattered at this point. Yeah, I get to Rock Polish and kill the thing, but I'm really weak. He gets to go Scarf Pincer and just kill me regardless. But yeah, like I think between Armaldo and Scarf Mime, there's a lot I could have done if that crit hadn't happened. But it did, and that was just like whatever. I didn't expect to win DPP regardless. Like I was prepared for a game 3, but that was really annoying.
Yeah.
Did
you make that DPP team?
No, this is a really old one. I'm pretty sure it's when DPP was like pretty new during the between Gen 6 when Gen 7 hadn't come out yet, like the same period we're in now, but a gen earlier. And people were still like pretty into the new DPP. And they were doing these like group chat builds. Like people in the room would make a group chat, be like, okay, we're gonna go build DPP. Who wants to join? And they basically make a group chat and build a team. And I took it from there. And it was built around this like natural gift Armaldo, which I always thought was cool. So I was like, sure, I'll grab this team. And it's kind of just been sitting in my builder for a while. And when I agreed to No John's TJ, I knew I didn't really have a DPP team to fight him with. But I kind of just wrote DPP off as a loss. And I realized with this game, yeah, I actually could have totally won that, but it was whatever. And then we take it to black-white, and I pull out All Reliable. And it totally does the do. Like, this is just kind of a matchup I wanted. Even though I missed an early Toxic, which I was really scared of, because if that was a Specs Vanillux and I couldn't Toxic it and it just started like getting to hit a bunch of Specs Ice Beams, oh boy, that would have been bad. But that didn't happen, so it's pretty okay. And you'll see most of this game is me just kind of getting to do a lot of buttons. I hit an awful lot of buttons this game.
I wish I had more to say about black-white, but
yeah, I mean it is a pretty straightforward game plan of I kill a lot of his things and eventually I'm gonna have a pretty nice position. Because overall I have a really nice matchup and I didn't have a more coherent game plan than that because
I feel like the coherent game plan was built into your team, whereas I feel TJ's team is a bit more like I'm going to try and check the things in black-white, which can work, but you need a good matchup for that. It's not going to be reliable. It's going to be like you need your Vanillux to get 3 kills in a matchup, or you need your team to be able to wall your like individual threats, right?
Yeah,
but
I mean,
he doesn't have that.
Sure, maybe we can just prescribe it to this team being so much better. I don't know. Regardless, like I didn't need much of a game plan beyond killing his things because nothing he had was very scary late game. I have multiple Clang checks that I can keep healthy pretty easily. I have multiple wall breakers that will all kind of do the job. I have multiple Zebstrika checks. Like, there's not a lot I'm really afraid of late game, as long as I don't really screw up and, like, sack all my Vanillux checks or whatever. So it mostly came down to I just want to kill his Mons. And it especially helped that right here, he tries to preserve Death Fodder Gabite and go hard Clang and just gets 2 it KO'd. Because the last time I hit him, it only did, like, 35, but this time I was in Torrent and it just did 60, so that didn't work at all.
That's the number one ability people forget about.
Yeah, and I asked him after the game, like, did you just forget about Torrent? Because that was pretty huge. Um, but he
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
I don't remember what he said, and I just want to wait till the end of the game. I think he said like he did remember Torrent, he just thought I wasn't specs or something.
Yeah, that makes a bit of sense, but yeah, it just kind of sucks.
Well, I just don't know about having like your main wall breaker,
He
which
didn't
is
say
Ice
it.
Cream on his team, weak to rocks, and a tier that like has no removal.
He has no
as far as
to.
I know.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I was talking about with his team. His team feels more like a Vanillux and Inshallah, not anything coherent.
Did you say Vanillix Inshallah?
Yeah, Vanillux Inshallah.
Vanillix will win if God wills it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great plan. I actually really like that description. Vanillix Inshallah. I don't know what you actually said, and I don't care. All right. I think that just about covers Classic. The biggest takeaway I had from this is like I'm somehow in finals. Fuck if I know, but I just kind of ended up out soliding people without a lot of like crazy gimmicks or anything of this sort. I just basically did my game plan, and that's because these aren't like super developed, like high class, high octane gameplay tiers right now. They're just kind of fun in there, and we don't get a lot of competition in them until PUPL, which is okay. I'm pretty okay with the state of PU old gens, but this classic very much felt like being solid is what puts you far, as opposed to being like the big innovator who really knows the old gens in and out. Like we don't really have those dedicated old gens mains right now, because it's PU old gens. Like who does that?
Well, you do, but it's also like in the time period that this is going on. Like people are playing spec and like other Gen 8 metas.
Spec PU,
so,
new Gen 8 stuff. So there's also just less interest.
Yeah, a lot of the old gen guys like me, GA, I guess, are looking into Gen 8.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd say, it's we're at that point now where everyone's just sort of waiting for Gen 8, like they were, like I think last year as well. So it's like, oh, we might as well play some old gens while we're at it.
Yeah, the delay helped last time too. With that delay of stats.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That should not happen this time. We should have.
Please.
We should have the stuff. We should have alpha in like 4 days from now. It looks like, because it's a leap year. Yeah, something like that.
Very excited.
Cool. Anyway, I think that just about covers everything we wanted to say and more. This was like an hour on the whole classic thing. Cool. I hope you enjoyed a bit of a return to Untier talk. We'll definitely be back for alpha and hopefully cover the rest of the classic. Specs, thanks for showing up.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
All right.